Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Georgiana with Expressions Craft Studio, and today we're going to go from this to this. So, I got this idea from my friend Ruth with Artful Stamping with Ruth. She made one. Now, she didn't bind hers this way. In fact, she didn't bind it at all, but I didn't like that part because it just kind of, because it's an accordion spine, it just kind of flew open. So I went out today and I did I did this before actually. I decided I'd use my Cricut to make holes, pre-cut my holes for me so I didn't have to do all that work. And it cut my pages for me with the holes in them as well. I have one here somewhere in this pile of stuff. Actually, I've got two of them. So everything was cut and lined up, and it gave me the ability to then bind this. And I just used embroidery floss. You could probably use a thin ribbon because the size of the hole is like 0.20, so it's plenty big enough for a thin ribbon or maybe a silk ribbon, something like that. And then the outside cover, I did exactly what she did. This is a double layer that's glued together and then bound in. Each internal page is just a single layer. This is just a cheap cardstock. I have lots of it. It's the Recollections from Michael's that you buy in the large assorted packs. And this is what I use to make my templates with, just to test stuff out. So you can see here, now one thing I didn't add in the file, which I'm going to go back and fix, is a score line here. Because without it, this doesn't open very well. So I'm going to add a score line or a fold line right there just to make that easier to get that page open. And I'll do the same with all of the internal pages as well. But today we're going to go a little different because the video I saw, which was by, let me see if I can find it. It is by, I love the name of this because if you've watched me, you know I have a cat named Miss Gypsy. The name of this studio is The Purring Cat Studio, and I'll put her link below. I like the way she did this accordion journal as well. The title of this one's Accordion Binding Tutorial, Add a Unique Touch to Your Journals. So I'm going to, instead of doing this again, which this works fine, I would just bind it more loosely, or maybe use an elastic cord that's got a little bit of give to it. That's just an idea. I haven't done it, but it sounds like a good idea, right? So what she did to bind hers was she used little tabs or flaps or little strips of fabric. And I've seen other people do this. I've seen E with Scrapbooking with Me do it, not necessarily quite like this, but very similar. And she just put those out here and then glued them. She left a little bit of slack in there so you can expand it a little, but it doesn't just go wonky. Like I have another piece here somewhere that's absolutely I've got such a mess. I don't know where it went, but it just kind of springs out everywhere, as you would expect an accordion fold to do. So what I've done is I've gone through my pink papers. Now I had these laying on my desk from the previous projects where we made the accordion fold cards, and I thought I'd use these. This is a kind of a medium weight cardstock, so it is going to crack when I fold it. So I'm not sure if I might just use it for the covers. I'm not sure how much or if all of it I'll use or what. This might make a nice little cover right down here. I haven't completely decided yet, but then I started going through my stash, and on the other side of my desk I found these, which were left over from doing a junk journal for one of my nieces. So I think because the color's kind of in the right pinkish purpley hues, I'm going to go with that. I also found this one, which adds just a little bit of green. We'll throw in a different color into the mix. And then in my scraps I found various other pink papers and some gray colored scraps. These are cardstock, so I'm not exactly sure how I'll use them, but I will be able to use them. And then these are papers, and I found these in my stash. These are old. They came in those books that you used to buy. I got them at Joann's for scrapbooking, and you would just tear out a page that you wanted to use and add pieces, parts, the whole thing to your scrapbook pages. So I've saved them because the pages are good. I just took them out of the books. And what I realized was I might want, if I'm going to make it so that, you can actually journal on them, I didn't want a white background. So I ran them through the printer with one of my pre-purchased designs, and I just, fit it to my 8.5 by 11, and so now it looks like I've got tea stained or coffee stained paper on the back. So I will be using some of those. Now I had another thought. I have a bunch. I've been saving these. I need to start using them. I've got a lot. I have these envelopes, junk mail envelopes, and I thought, here it is. I thought I might try and use one or two of them in here, because in the video that I mentioned for the Purring Cat Studio, she uses bigger envelopes, but she mentions these, and obviously that would fit. So I have a couple options. If I do this, I can cut it here, or I can just score it. If I score it, then I want to maybe seal it across the bottom so that you have not just one pocket, but then you've got, let's see, we got 1, 2, and if I can get it open, 3 pockets. Or you could even seal this at the top and the bottom and make this pocket, if you want to cut this, come out the side here. So there's options, and I could use some of this paper to cover that up. Again, haven't really decided what I want to do yet, but I'm going to be playing with this, and so I'm not going to show you the whole video. I'm not going to go through that. She does a very good video on the Purring Cat Studio to show you how she does hers, and it truly is just junk and leftover paper she's using. And I actually have some coffee stained paper strips somewhere that are left over that I could use, but that's what I'm going to do today. Maybe for the next couple days. I'm kind of slow because I'm just kind of winging it as I go, but that's where I'm looking at. So I'll get a picture together when we're done, and as I start to make more progress, I'll kind of flip in and show you what we've done so far. But this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm working on. I've got 2 other cards in progress, 2 other templates I've been working on that I want to get to, but then I saw this and I'm like, I need to do this now before I forget. So I'm going to put you on pause, and I'll be back when I've got something to show you. Alright guys, I am back. I've cut everything out. I've gone around and I've inked the edges of my papers that I'm using that were from that old scrapbook notebook of different designs. These are papers I probably wouldn't have used for too much else. I mean, at the time I thought they were really pretty and unique because, in the 90s they were. But as with most things, the paper industry has kind of matured, evolved, and so these are not pages I would use anymore. Now I might have used that one, but most of them are not things I would have used anymore. So I'm happy to do this with them. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and attached. I did go ahead and ink my edges from the outside edges, just because I thought that might look nice, because I'd inked the edges of the paper. And I went ahead and applied my first envelope. Now I'm not thrilled with this envelope. I almost didn't use it. And I'm going to decorate it some more because obviously it's calling for something. But it is a little 3-pocket envelope. You've got 1, and then 2, and then 3. And that was made with just one envelope where I folded it in half and then glued the ends down here. Like I said, I am going to decorate that some more. I'm not thrilled with the way it's come out, but that's okay. It's a work in progress. So I started gluing my pages in. I thought like the lady from the Purring Cat Studio was doing, but apparently, even though I've watched it 3 times, I didn't do it quite right. She was mostly gluing hers to one side or the other. You can see where the seam is here in the middle. Let me lift that up so you can see it a little better. You can see where that accordion fold is. I'm actually gluing pages, let me go back here, to both sides of these accordion folds, the left and the right. And I am going to go back and I am going to glue these pages together. I like the fact that it gives a little bit stronger of a writing surface, and this really is primarily just going to be a little journal for somebody. But that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to show you how I glued these in. I did cut everything. So I printed them on my printer. I printed the kind of coffee stained image on the back of these papers. Then I cut them to size, which was essentially half of a sheet for each. So I got 2 out of each 8.5 by 11, and then by the time I trimmed the edges off, this is the size I ended up with, which I think is like 4 by 5. Let's see here. Yeah, 4 by 5 1/4. So that was the finished size, and went through and folded them all, sorted them out, and now I'm just busy gluing them in. So I just kind of am gently lining them up, folding that over to make sure it's a good fit and I've left myself enough room, and then I go back and add my glue. Now if you want to use tape, you can. I like glue because it gives me a little bit of time if I need to wiggle something around. Plus it's a more permanent bond generally. Now because of the way my paper printed, when I printed the back side, these pages aren't all exactly the same size. They might be like a 1/16 of an inch off or something like that. I don't care with that. It's a junk journal, so I'm okay with that. So then we're going to slip in our next page. And because I had rough side, because I just tore it with the ruler, I had a rough side on one edge and a straight edge on the other. That's not ideal. Normally, if I'd thought of it first, I would have ripped them all, because I like the rough edge. But since I didn't do it that way, and I've got one of each, I just kind of alternated them, so they were every other one. And so again, we're just going to kind of line that at the top and the bottom. We're going to push it in, and then I'm just going to flip that back, and we're going to add our glue. And then I do like to burnish it really well. So let's go back and glue one of these previous pages. Now, I could glue this flap to that page. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I'll probably put like some lace or something on it, maybe a doily. I don't know. I'll decorate it somehow. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and glue these two together. Now, again, you could use tape if you want, but the problem that I saw with tape, she did it on one of hers in the first 2 pages she put in. It didn't leave a nice smooth surface when she put the two together. There was a little bubble in it. So if you're trying to write, that might be a problem. So I'm going to try it with glue and hope that works a little bit better. We'll see. Maybe I'm just being too picky. It wouldn't be shocking to learn that that's the case. So I'm just kind of adding a lot more glue because I want it to adhere really well. And then I'm going to come back and actually I'm going to push it this way so it's not on top of all those accordion folds. And I'm going to start toward the center and just kind of spread my glue out toward the edge. So it looks like I should probably do that before I go through and add any more pages. Just because, where am I at? All right, oh, still one more page, there we go. I do have some really pretty floral ribbon I'm going to add to the sides here. Since it's a pinkish florally theme, I think you'll like that when we get to that point. So there you go, you flip, you can write, you flip, and you see just the edge of this one, because again, they're not exactly the same, and I'm okay with that. Let's see if I can get something in there to show you. I don't mind that at all. If you do, obviously you're going to want to be more precise, but for me, that's okay. And you can see there's maybe a little bit there where that accordion is, but it doesn't have a bubble in it. It's laying pretty flat, which is what I want. So I'm going to do the same on this side. And this one is in the, is this in the valley fold? I think this is, yeah, this is the valley fold. So some of them will be mountain folds and some of them will be valley folds. You'll have a little bit more room, it looks like, on the valley folds. And if you're not sure what I mean by that, just think a mountain comes to a peak and a valley goes to a valley. So I'm going to flip this one back this way. Try to make sure it's mostly lined up. Okay, looks pretty good. Grab our bone folder, and this time we're going to go left to right. We're just going to kind of ease that glue out toward the edge just to get a nice smooth flat finish. And there we go. So here's the front. You've got your pocket. We've got places, lots of places to write. Like I said, this is just going to really be a journal. More so than, you know, for scraps. There are a few pockets, so you can put a few scrappy bits in there, but not as many as you would think. So to explain the valley and the mountain fold, trying to get this around here like so you can see it. Okay, so my finger here is on the mountain fold. My finger now is in the valley. So that's what I mean when I say mountain valley folds. So I'm going to go ahead and finish gluing everything together, and then I'll come back with the ribbon. Hopefully I'll have that added already, and then at some point I'll figure out what I'm going to do for the cover. Actually, I guess I can't do the ribbon until I do the cover, but I can show you the ribbon. All right, so give me a few and I'll be back. All right, I finished gluing all of the pages in. Still haven't finished decorating that one, but it's glued in. All of the other pages are now glued in and glued together, so there's lots of room to write. I've got this envelope that I put in, and I made a flap for it so it does kind of flip over that a little bit. I thought about putting magnets in, but I didn't want to add to the thickness, and I think the flap is sufficient. I do wish, though, that I had cut this wider than 1/4 of an inch. It's pretty narrow, and it looks like it did quite glue down all the way. So I do wish, is there any glue coming out of there? There we go. So I do wish, in hindsight, I had made that at least a 1/2 inch, if not an inch. And actually, now that I think about this, I wish I had made it decorative. Well, I was going to say I wish I'd done the decorative edge on both sides, but because I am going to glue this page down here, I don't really need to do that. So I'm going to just kind of keep pressing on this until this glue sets, because it keeps wanting to lift up. It's such a narrow lip. But while I'm here, let's go ahead and glue this one down. Now, some of my pages did get a little wonky. I don't know how that happened, as careful as I was being, but somehow or other I do have some that are crooked. And you know what? It's a junk journal. I am going to be okay with that. I'm determined to be okay with that. So I'll flip that up and together, and then we will burnish that down out to the edges. It gets a little harder to do the more pages you get in here. And I probably need a little bit more under here. There we go. I mean, it's supposed to look junky, but I don't want it to look too junky. Okay, so continue flipping our pages. I need to recrease that one, it looks like. So, what am I doing? Okay, so I'm just going to put my bone folder in the corner and kind of just recrease that. just reinforce that fold line. So you can see this one I got really crooked. I don't care, I'm gonna leave it. And all the way to the end. So this will end up, I don't know what I'll end up doing there. Maybe I'll just glue another piece of coffee stained paper over it. I have some more here, but I have been working on the cover as well, so I've managed to slide that every which direction. So what I've done is I've taken some pieces, some scraps from a 12 by 12 book that I've been working with, and I don't know if this will be the cover, but it's one of the options. So I had some, what do you call this? Chipboard. Came in 4 sheets of it came in one of my husband's packages. They were thin, but they came in one of his packages, so I saved them, and I had to trim them down a little bit, but I covered them with my coffee stained paper. I inked the edges, and I think that'll look nice on the front. And then I'll add some lace, or I know I have some pink like tulle in there that's got some like glittery stuff glued to it, and so I might add, you know, a strip of that or something. I don't know, but I intend to glue these together over this flap, and I'm going to do the same in the back. So I'm going to glue one on the front and one on the back, and that way you'll be extra sturdy. So that would be theoretically possibly the front. Then you've got the back or the inside cover to the front, and I've got this gray here, which is part of this same paper pack. And this is where I have a couple options. Some of my cut off scraps, I've got this piece here, which would make a cute little slip pocket at the bottom here. Could do that. That was my first thought. But then I also have this strip here, which could make a nice little tuck spot if I glue it around and behind this cover piece here, to hide it, to hide the fold behind, and that could make a nice little belly band for another envelope if somebody wanted a second or third or fourth envelope. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do yet. I could do either one. So I also have this strip, but I wouldn't use it just because it's what's on the front, and I kind of want to mix it up a little bit more. So it would be this strip with this backing, or the other strip with a different backing or in a different position. So anyway, these are the two options for that, and I do love that. So then we get to the inside back cover, and I've got this piece, which I think was actually from a different pack, but it's grays, and so I think it works. And then you can add another little pocket down here, or because I do think the belly band works with this, maybe I should move this to the front cover. You know what, I'm going to do that. I'm going to move that to the front cover. Poof, trying to keep everything in order. So this will be the inside back, and then this is what's going to be on the back, so I'm going to change it to this for the pocket. Just kind of line it up. So that's what I'm thinking. I'll put that in the back for a little pocket on the inside back cover, and then the outside back cover would be this one. Now I also like this for a front cover. So decisions. If I do this for the front cover, boy, and I'm really thinking I want to, because doesn't that kind of look like a old bookbinding spine, even though there's different panels there? I'm thinking, oh boy, I've changed my mind. So that's going to be my front. Let's flip all this back over. That's my front. Then, so this will be my back. or, well, I don't know. So inside cover, no, we're going to put that in the back, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this in the front, and I'm going to put this little pocket here, and this is what I'm thinking. And I thought it before, but I forgot. So that's my front. This will be my inside front, and this is a good place if somebody's like keeping, you know, little mementos like ticket stubs, or I don't know, just something that they maybe want to paste into their book later. Maybe a little note, I don't know, but this might be a good place to just kind of temporarily hold stuff. Of course, the envelope would be too. Oh, see, this is my problem. Decisions, indecisions. But I will put a little thumb hole there. I'm going to leave it this way. This is the inside front cover. So inside back cover is going to be this with this belly band. Boy, that's bright, but I kind of like it. And the envelope, I don't know what I'll make that out of, but it'll be some kind of coordinating paper. Okay, so that'll be the inside back cover, and then this will be the outside back cover. And I won't decorate it. I think it's on the back. It'll be fine. So that's what I'm going to do for the covers. So I'm going to pause and start assembly. Hang on just a second. I'm going to show you the ribbon. It may not work now that I'm looking at this as the front cover. Alright, here are the ribbons. I had 2 of them. And color wise, I feel like this one goes a little bit better, but I don't know. That's a lot to look at. Now granted, I will bury it underneath that front mat, so you're only going to see what's on the side there. Let's do it like that. And see if I can zoom in and slide everything over and up. I might have to think about the ribbon. I actually am not loving either one of them like I thought I would. There's no blue in the book anywhere so far. There is a little bit of green, so this could work. Let's see what else I might find. Alright, well I didn't find anything I liked better. So I'm gonna go with this one, I guess. And what I'll do is I will cut this in half. I cut it longer on purpose. And let's see, I need some, well, these might work. There we go. So what I will do is I will glue that underneath the edge there. And the same with the one down here. Kind of up from the bottom and down from the top a little bit. I could even get another strip, but I thought I had some black, but I don't have any wide black. I don't want black anyway. What am I thinking? Okay, so yeah, so I'm going to start gluing this together, and I'm going to start gluing these on. So I need to do these. And how long did I cut these? So that's 4 to 6.5, so 2.5 inches roughly. Yeah, 2.5 inches. So if I do 1, 2, 3, 4, that only leaves a 1/4 inch. So maybe I'll go, instead of 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch in on each side. So I'll do that. I'll measure 3/4 inch in on each side, and that's where I will line up my strips. All right. Okay, I measured the front and the back covers where the ribbons are going to go. I'm going to come in 3/4 inches down and 1/2 inch over. I know I said 3/4, but then I measured the spine of my book and thought I'd better keep it a little bit longer. The strip a little bit longer and less of it glued under here. So it's going to be 1/2 inch in and 3/4 inch down from the top and 3/4 inch up from the bottom, and I did that on both the front and back cover. So I'm going to glue my strips down. I think my glue's probably dried up. I didn't realize I forgot to put my pen in it. Oh yeah, here we go. String that out a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to put my strip right there so my glue can come down to that far. And you could use fabric tack here if you like, and actually that would have probably been a better choice for me, but I didn't think of it until it was already started. Somewhere underneath here I've got a bone folder. Now if you're not using thick chipboard, you could even sew through this to sew it down if that's something you're comfortable doing. I have a very expensive machine, and A, I didn't think of it in time, and B, I wouldn't do it with this. Even though this isn't a very thick chipboard, I wouldn't sew through anything other than paper or cardstock with my machine. Okay, so there's one, and we're going to do the same down here. Let's get an idea for how high up it goes. Oh, right to the end of my line, so that was perfect. This is a silk ribbon, so I hope this sticks. Just kind of rubbing that glue in there. So I will do that to the back as well, and then I'm going to let these sit and dry for a little bit. I just realized I can't do it to the back yet because it will have to be one of the last things I do. So I'm just going to let that dry then. All right, I finished gluing everything that I think I could or should glue, and I've just now added the inside cover to the flap here. I just glued that down. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to line these up, and I'll glue this one down. So I'm just going to get a bunch of glue here, and I know this glue bottle came with different size nozzles, and I've got the fine point on it. I really should figure out what I did with the other nozzles so I don't have to work so hard to get glue out of here, because I am really squeezing this. Alright, so I'm going to stand this up just to make it easier to line up, and I'm going to do that. I'm just going to line it up like that. So I'm using my desktop, my hands to line up the sides, my thumbs to line up the top, and I'm just going to burnish. And it probably would work better if I flip it up and open it up. There we go. Just flatter that way, much flatter. And I did add my thumb notch here for this little pocket. So now we're ready to start on the back. Now the only other thing I can think of to tell you that I would do differently is, this was kind of just another attempt to do a template, but it turned out so well I thought I'd go ahead and turn it into an actual junk journal. Had I known that was my intention to begin with, I probably wouldn't have used white here. I would have used craft cardstock or something that kind of matched. But white is what we have, so white is what we're going to use. So I've gone ahead and added my belly band here, and this is just to keep me orientated. I'm going to put that there So try and get that lined up. That looks pretty good. Could stick out a little further. Oops. Yeah, let's do it like that. Okay. So I've got that, I think, where I want it. I sure hope so. I'm going to take another look. I don't trust myself. Okay. It's flat on the bottom, so I'm going to go with it. So I'm going to glue the flap here. And give that a good press. Oops, I moved it. I thought I needed to, but now I don't think I did. Okay, oops. Oops, oops, oops. I'm going to have to put a little bit more into this corner, it looks like. Just for good measure. There we go. Now, it could be, too, that my glue's a little old. This Barely Arts glue, I bought the full bear for refills, and I'm just now getting to where I'm finishing it off. So maybe it's just gotten thicker as it's set. I don't know. All right, so now this one is going to go over this one. This is the one with our markings on it for our ribbon. So, I'm going to do it this way. That's lined up. Okay, so I'm going to add my glue. And you could use tape. Again, if I use tape, I generally put glue over the top of it, so I'm just trying to save myself a step here. Okay. Get a little bit on here. And we're going to stand this guy up. Oop, put those on the right side. My markings almost ended up on the side where it wasn't going to do me any good. Okay. Now there's any number of ways you could have created your covers. My friend Ruth actually just used a piece of cardstock that she doubled and scored in the middle and then slipped it over and glued it down to make a thicker one. But since I had these chipboard pieces anyway, I thought, well, I might as well use them. Okay, so that just leaves wrapping our ribbon around, and I probably could have and should have. Let's see, could have probably gone a little bit more on the other side. So maybe I'll just line it up with those marks. Oops. Without trying to push down too hard on it. Well, I think that might work. Okay, so just put a bunch of glue right in here. And fold that over. Now this is, I don't know if this is silk ribbon. It looks like it's silk ribbon. It might even work with some of the artificial textiles, but you can take, if this isn't going to be showing, but if it was going to be showing, you could take and just run that edge across the lighter, and it would just kind of keep it from fraying in the future. Or if you've got Fabri-Tac or something like that, what's the one we used to use all the time for sewing? It wasn't Fabri-Tac, but it was something like that. You just put it on your edges of your seams. I can't think of it. I can see the little bitty bottle. It was kind of odd shaped, but anyway, that's a whole nother thing. Okay, so let's do that. And there it is. Give this a nice rub. Get that glue in there. And that just leaves the back, guys. Now, this is the front. There's your side. And this is the back. So this, I think I like it that direction. So we're going to add some glue here. And let's turn it this way. I'm always trying to figure out where I'm going to get the best view of it. Slide it down a little bit, and I think we're good. So let's just flop that open and burnish, burnish, burnish. Look at that. Awesome sauce. Now, if you wanted to put a clasp on the front of this, you could. Probably I would have done that before I finished gluing the front and back cover down. Then you could, especially if you used brads, and you could have glued them between your two pieces here. Now, I just inked these edges. I didn't want them covered necessarily. I just wanted a nice thick cover. But you could have, well, I covered them with paper, but you could have covered them with something else if you wanted to. So there's our cute little flip journal. Now, let me move some of this stuff out of the way, just because I've got a mess here. So let me zoom in, and we'll just take a quick look. Now, I'm probably still going to add something to the front. I don't know what yet. I'm thinking I'm going to give this away in a drawing once we reach a certain number of subscribers. We're getting close to 700 now, so 750 sounds like a nice good number. And I'm still working on that, so I will probably make a separate announcement for that. But anyway, there's your cover. I love it, and I don't think it's not quite the ribbon that I thought it was, but it's still pretty. So then you've got your nice little pocket here that you can slip an envelope into, or some tags. I'm going to still finish decorating this because I don't like the way it looks. It's kind of shoddy looking compared to everything else. I might do some faux stitching around where the seams come together. I don't know yet. Same on the back, and same with this. I'm not certain yet what I want to do with that. I mean, I could just glue it to, couldn't I? I might just do that. So anyway, then you've got all of your pages, and I think I counted like 20 or something like that. So, or no, it was 28. So if if you're not a daily journalist, you just write down like the week's events or special things that you want to remember, this would be perfect for you. It will probably take you through the whole year. And so then we've got our belly band in the back, where I'm going to make an envelope to slip in there. And then you've got your back cover. So if you were going to add like a magnetic clasp to close it, I would have slipped the end of the clasp, or the strap for the clasp, underneath this backing. I didn't do that, so I think it's going to just stay nice and flat the way it is. I think I did pretty good on it, other than, a few things I wish I'd done differently. But to keep from worrying about that, I think I'm just going to go ahead and glue that down. Yeah, let's do it. Oh, I've really got to clean out this nozzle. My pen's like jammed up in there. Okay. There we go. So I just want to put glue on here. taking the easy way out here. Could have decorated it better, but come on, get some glue. Alright, so we're going to fold that flap. Oh, see, I didn't need to come all the way out here, so I'm just going to kind of smear that out and give this a burnish. Yeah, that didn't quite go down the way it should have either. So we peel it back up and lay it down like this. There we go. That's better. Alright, so once that dries, I'll close this. Right now it just kind of looks like it's been Mod Podged. So that just leaves me to figure out what I'm going to do with this and to make a couple of tags or something for the front and an envelope for the back and maybe some little ephemera, maybe some more tags for this envelope and some ephemera or something to stick in this one, or maybe a nice couple big tag in to put in there. I don't know. So when we come back and finish it, then I'll decide about giving it away in a drawing or yeah. So anyway, that's actually the best one I've made as far as lining up and closing and not gaping open. When it's flat, it doesn't gape open. So cool. Now if you stand it still, it does. So in some of these places where or maybe it was up here where I just glued it down, or right here, you can see a little bit of the white from the accordion piece that I made. This is why, I mean, you could ink it if you wanted to, but it's in the valley, so it would have been a little harder to ink. Not impossible, but anyway, that I would have changed that. And again, I probably wouldn't have even added this envelope. I don't like it. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I do need to fix it. So anyway, this supposed to be short little video has gotten quite long, but I'd love to hear what you think. Again, the front needs a little something, you know, I don't know what, but maybe I'll leave that up to whoever wins it. But until next time, guys, I hope you have a happy, crafty day.